Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlene Benedict for the Newsfirst team. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight. Sri Lanka women emerged champions of the 2024 Women's Asia Cup. Speaker and Chief Justice must hold talks to resolve issues concerning IGP. A statement from the President. Legal action will be taken against those who violate the Constitution. A warning from the opposition leader. Andhra Kumara proposes constitutional amendment to remove President from office before the end of his tenure. Who is the SLPP's presidential candidate? In your top story tonight, Sri Lanka dethroned defending champions India to clinch their first ever Women's T20 Asia Cup title today. The Sri Lankan women's contingent under the leadership of Chamari Athapattu was unbeaten in the tournament. They beat India by 8 wickets in the finals today.
The Rangiridambula International Cricket Stadium was flooded with cricket fans when Sri Lanka took on India in the finals of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. The Sri Lankan contingent, under the leadership of Chamari Athapattu, come into the finals with an unbeaten record during the tournament. Winning the toss, India opted to bat first. Smriti Mandana scored 60 runs in 47 balls, while Richa Ghosh and Jemima Rodriguez scored 30 and 29 runs respectively. Kavisha Dilhari bagged 2 wickets for 36 runs. Chasing 166 runs for a win, Harshita Samaravikrama scored 69 runs off 51 balls. Sri Lankan skipper Chamari Athapattu scored 61 of 43 deliveries. Sri Lanka women chased down the total in 18.4 overs to become the first Sri Lankan team to clinch the title.
Actually, I'm feeling happy. I'm really happy about my team performance, especially our batting performance. So special thanks go to young Harshita Madhavi and Kavisha Dilhari. They finished really good. This is not a one-man show. The whole team, support staff helped me a lot, especially youngsters and the seniors. The last 12 months we played really good cricket around the world. So we continue this performance in Asia Cup as well. Finally we won Asia Cup. I'm so happy about my team performance. Special thanks go to Sri Lankan people, the crowds. They help my team. They trust my girls. I'm so happy. A lot of spectators come to see the game, so I'm really happy.
Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe congratulated skipper Chamari Athapattu and the Sri Lankan women's cricket team on winning the Asia Cup.
Good dedication, good teamwork. Okay, we'll see how we can help you when you come back. Okay, tell the team also there is.
The MTV Media Network is committed to providing Sri Lankan cricket enthusiasts with increased access to live matches. MTV Channel Private Limited holds the ICC cricket rights in Sri Lanka up until the end of 2025.
Took all of them to get over the line here today. To that performance. And this will be one they'll remember forever. This is one that can't be taken away from them. They've announced themselves on the world stage as a power to be looked at. A young team as well, so plenty of cricket in front of them.
Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka decides. Sri Lanka decides.
Speaking at the Jayagamu Sri Lanka program held in Hobagama today, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the Speaker and the Chief Justice should discuss and resolve the problematic situation regarding the Inspector General of Police. The President emphasized that he will work to enable the Election Commission to hold the presidential election on the 21st of September.
දැන් අපි ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන තත්ත්වය අනුව ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණය කියනවා මේක නීත්‍යානුකූල නැහැ තහනම් කරන්න.
The Supreme Court is now saying that this appointment is not legal and for him to be banned. On the other hand, the Parliament is saying that this is legal. If we continue like this, where will we end up? This can become a big issue. Therefore, I spoke about this with the Nauru Declaration, the chairman of the Election Commission, and several other top officials. They said that we must find a solution to this. These institutions cannot be allowed to clash against each other like this. I said that I look at this in a different perspective. Article 3 and Article 4 of our Constitution state that elections is part of the sovereignty of the people. These powers have been given to the Election Commission. The time period during which a free and fair election should be held began on the 17th of July. Our most important responsibility since the 17th of July is to figure out how to hold this free and fair election and to fully support the Election Commission. For example, he went and asked the Election Commissioner if my picture can be put up. The Commissioner said no and asked for it to be removed. I have no issue there. That is how things should be done. When we are acting like that, I believe that the Supreme Court had a responsibility to first inquire on this matter from the Election Commission. Under Section 106, the Election Commission can only request for police officers from the Inspector General of Police and not from a Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police. If there is no Inspector General of Police, how can the Commission request for police officers? The number of officers required should be requested for this week. These officers must be transferred. Orders must be signed. All of this must be done. This must be requested from the Inspector General of Police this week. If the request is delayed, they cannot proceed with it. Then the election cannot be held. Therefore, this is important. The first duty of the Supreme Court was to inquire about this from the Election Commission before they made an order. The primary responsibility of Parliament was also to inquire on this matter from the Election Commission before announcing a decision. There is a massive issue now because this was not done. I don't want this election to be postponed. That is the reason why I held discussions. The way I see it, some civil organizations are going to court. Don't go to court any further and complicate the situation. This issue came about because you went to court. Let's stop doing all of this now. Parliament should stop it, and the Supreme Court should also stop it. This is a landmine. Will we allow this landmine to explode, or will we remove the wires and defuse it? That is the decision that we must make. We cannot allow this landmine to explode. We should defuse this. The Parliament and the Supreme Court should work to achieve this. I believe that the best course of action for the Speaker and the Chief Justice is to discuss this matter and resolve it. We are not the people who created this issue. I spoke with the Speaker in the morning and he said that he had sent a letter to the Attorney General asking for advice and that he is ready to speak with the Chief Justice about this. I will also ask the Chief Justice to speak with him about it. It must be resolved this week. There is another issue here. Under Article 4, the defense of the country is entrusted with the President. I need the Tri-Forces to protect the country. I need the police, the SDF and the intelligence units. If these are not available, what will happen? These are essential to ensure the safety of the country. As far as I know, either last week or the week before that, a special program to crack down on drugs was formulated. The program should begin this week. If the program does not begin, the drug addicts and drug dealers will hold a carnival here. I would like to speak to the Speaker and the Chief Justice and resolve this. We will resolve this. I end my address to you by stating that I will work in a manner that will enable the Election Commission to hold the election on the 21st of September.
අපි කොහොම හරි විසඳනවා. මම එකක් කියනවා. සැප්තැම්බර් 21 වෙනිදා මැතිවරණ කොමිසමට ඡන්දය තියන්න පුළුවන් විදියට මම වැඩ කරනවා කියලා ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් වචන සමර්පය අවසන් කරනවා.
It has been 60 hours since the presidential election was declared, and uncertainty looms over the candidacy among major political parties. Here are the latest developments regarding nominations and alliances. How many presidential candidates have deposited bonds so far? What is the current status?
Immediately after the declaration, President Ranil Wickremesinghe swiftly deposited his bonds. Later that afternoon, the Election Commission confirmed that 4 candidates had submitted bonds for the presidential election. They include MP Sarath Kirthiratne, chairman of the New Independent Front Oshala Herath, and the leader of the Sri Lanka Labour Party ASP Lianage. The Samagi Janabala Vegya has endorsed Sajith Premadasa as its presidential candidate, while the National People's Power has nominated Anurakumara Dissanayake. President Ranil Wickremesinghe declared his candidacy at a public rally in Galle yesterday. Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca have also announced their intentions to contest the presidential election. Former President Maithripala Sirisena has extended his support for Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa.
What is the latest update on the Sri Lanka Freedom Party?
The stance of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party remains undisclosed, but under the leadership of Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva, it is actively engaging in the political arena alongside the President.
What is the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna's decision?
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna is yet to announce its decision. While many of its ministers and MPs publicly support President Ranil Wickremesinghe, some advocate for a candidate from their own party.
Will the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna support Dhammika Perera?
Businessperson Dhammika Perera has declared his intentions to contest under the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
Has there been any division within the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna?
Over 30 MPs recently pledged support for the government's initiatives in a meeting with former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Was a discussion held recently among senior political figures?
Senior advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of the Presidential Staff Sagala Ratnayake, along with Minister Dr. Susil Premajayantha, met with Mahinda Rajapaksa to discuss securing the SLPP's support for President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Against such a backdrop, in a letter to SLPP leader Mahinda Rajapaksa, President Ranil Wickremesinghe requested the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna to promptly communicate their decision regarding their support for him in the upcoming presidential election. President Ranil Wickremesinghe conveyed his intention to run independently to secure majority party backing in the letter to Mahinda Rajapaksa. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the SLPP confirmed that the party's Politburo will convene tomorrow afternoon to decide on their presidential candidate.
A public meeting of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held today in Pitipana. National organizer of the SLPP Namal Rajapaksa led the event.
දැන් අපිට නැගිටින්න වෙලා තියෙනවා. එදා අපි රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමාව
Now is the time to take a stand. The day we appointed Ranil Wickremesinghe as Prime Minister and President, we expect him to lead the country forward. He did his job and we supported him. But we can't support him forever. We must decide on what our party will do at the presidential election. We will make a decision on that in the next 2 days. We are with Namal Rajapaksa. If we decided to appoint him as the national organizer, we must support him to move forward as well. We will do that. Where are the people who demanded Gota go home today? Many of them now hold high positions in the government. We anticipate that some of them will seek votes in this election. This is a significant challenge for us. We filed a case regarding the matter. We weren't even aware that the case was withdrawn. We asked the President to appoint a commission seeking justice for that. That commission wasn't appointed either.
පිළිබඳව දඩුවම් දෙන්න කියලා. තාමත් එහෙම කොමිසමක් පත් උනේ. සමහර වෙලාවට සමහර නායකයෝ හිතනවා මේ
Some leaders believe that personal negotiations with certain individuals will solve the issue. No. Starting with Mahinda Rajapaksa, today the chairman of the village committees of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and all these individuals must be safeguarded in the political decisions we make. We need to create an environment where the needs of all these people can be met. It's crucial to remember to protect the party, as the country's protection depends on safeguarding its members.
පක්ෂය ආරක්ෂා කළා පාක්ෂික ආරක්ෂා කරුති පමණයි රට ආරක්ෂා කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන කාරණය.
Journalists also raised questions about the presidential candidate of the SLPP. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna MP Dhammika Perera reiterated his stance on his presidential candidacy. He said that he is prepared to contest the presidential election if the party is ready to put him forward.
පොදුජන පෙරමුණ තමයි ඒක තීරණය කරන්න ඕනේ. මම ලෑස්ති. ලංකාවේ ලොකුම පක්ෂය වුණාම තීරණ ගන්නකොට ටිකක් වෙලා යනවා. හැබැයි ඒ තීරණය මම දැන් ලබන සමාන වෙනකොට ගනි. මෙහෙමයි මම ජනාධිපතිවරණයට ලෑස්ති. ඉතින් ඒක පොදු පෙරමුණේ මොකද පක්ෂයක් වුණාම ඒක පොදු කියන්නේ මතයකට ඇවිල්ලා තමයි ඒ වැඩේ කරගන්න ඕනේ. මගේ පැත්තෙන් මම ධනාත්මකයි ඕන වෙලාවකට. ඒක බාහිර බලපෑම් කියන එක වෙනයි. හැබැයි මම පුද්ගලික වශයෙන් මම ලෑස්ති වැඩේට. මම හිතන්නේ ගොඩ ගන්න බෑ කියලා. මම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් බැරි දේවල් වලට එන්නෙත් නෑ. මම හිතන්නේ මේක හදන්න පුළුවන් රටක් කියලා. හෙට දිනේදී ඒගොල්ලන් මොකද්ද කරන්න කියලා තීරණයක් කරાવી. ඉතින් ඒකට බලමු මොකද්ද තීරණය කියලා. එතකොට පොදු ජන පෙරමුණට තීරණය කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා 2028 ණය ගෙවන්න පුළුවන් නායකයෙක් ගේන්න. පොදු ජන පෙරමුණටත් ලේසි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ණය කල් දාගන්න එක්කෙනෙක් ගෙනාවා. එතකොට ණය ගෙවන්න පුළුවන් එක්කෙනෙක් පොදු ජන පෙරමුණට සිද්ධ වෙනවා ගේන්න.
He expressed these views during an event where Dhammika Perera distributed certificates to 7,500 students in the DP Education IT faculty in the Ratnapura district.
The Passara electorate meeting of the Samagi Janabala Vegir was held today under the chairmanship of the party's leader Sajith Premadasa.
What is happening today? If the Pohuttu MPs support Ranil, they won't be able to contest the general election. If they stay with Basil, they won't be able to secure votes. Ranil has no votes, and neither does Basil. So over 7.5 million people of this country have decided to vote for Sajith Premadasa. We will form the most powerful alliance that has emerged in Sri Lanka on the 8th of August. The alliance will bring Sajith into power. 15 MPs of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and did not commit fraud have already joined us. By 8th of August, 10 to 12 more will join. More than 30 members of parliament will sign the alliance with us on the 8th of August.
30 දෙනෙකුට වැඩිය පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු ලබන 8 වෙනිදා අපිත් එක්ක සඳහන් අත්සන් කරනවා.
We know that Ranil has all the files of Anru Kumara Disanayaka. Ranil Wickramasinghe yesterday said that even though Anru Kumara Disanayaka's files are in his possession, the best files on Anru Kumara are with Ranil Wickramasinghe. Ranil Wickramasinghe knows better than us about all Anru Kumara's transactions following his overseas trips, where they went, who did they go to, and who he sent them to. They don't talk about it. That's why Anru is trying to prevent Ranil Wickramasinghe's extension of tenure from dividing that group and the crossovers from SLPP to the SJB. Today, Anru, all of your political games are known to the people of this country. Therefore, the people gathering today are gathering together for our leader.
මේ රටේ සමස්ත ජනතාවගේ ඉරොද බැඳ ගැනීම එකතු වීම සමගි ජනබලවේගය අපේ නායකයා තුල එකතු වෙලා ඉදරයි. මම අපේ නායකතුමාට කියනවා
I tell our leader not to be afraid. You must know that we will win in Badulla this time. We will confirm your victory by bringing in more than 150,000 votes, not by a small number. The only leader capable of resolving the issues in the Passara electorate and developing temples and kovils in the area is Sajith Premadasa. Sajith Premadasa will be made the president on the 21st of September. May Sajith Premadasa win.
සැප්තැම්බර් 21 අපි සජිත් මහත්තයාව ජනාධිපති කරනවාමයි. සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයාට ජය වේවා. සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයාට ජය වේවා. මෙදා පාර සියලුම ජාතීන්, සියලුම ආගම්, සියලුම ජන කොට්ටාස.
All races, all religions, all population groups, all districts, north, south, west and east. All 9 provinces, 25 districts, we are on a journey to win over the entire country. This resolve has been affirmed in every survey report. Today the country faces an unusual government that rejects Supreme Court verdicts and neglects to implement them. This signifies that the current president, along with the Prime Minister and the Speaker, leads a group of thieves that has undermined the nation and is entrenched with the government. By flouting the nation's laws and disregarding the government's constitution, they impose their own law over the country. I wish to inform them that their day of judgment is approaching. I declare now that as the people of this country usher in an area of justice and fairness under the law, this September, all those who have violated the constitution will be held accountable.
සියලුම දෙනාව නීතිය හමුවට එන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවයි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
The conference of the National All Ceylon Nurses Association was held this morning at the Maharagama Youth Services Council Auditorium. The conference was chaired by leader of the National People's Power, Anura Kumara Disanayaka.
නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න යවපු කෙනා පිස්සු කෙලිනවා පේනවනේ දැන්.
The individual tasked with enforcing the law appears to be losing their sanity. They cannot be removed for 5 years now. There is a flaw in our constitution. No erratic behavior can remove this individual for 5 years. Events like the pursuit of Gotabaya do not occur daily, perhaps only once in centuries. But do you approve of a scenario where someone who appoints leaders can go mad, leading to their removal before 5 years end? If so, then supporting the compass is imperative. Anura must win on the 21st of September, and society should unite for this cause. If we amend the constitution and the person in executive power behaves similarly, we risk a constitution allowing removal at any time. Instead of the system, we must change our country. Should a parliamentarian act irrationally, provisions must exist to recall them. If I switch sides, can my membership be cancelled? We aim to bring such political transformations in this country after the 21st of September.
මේ රටේ උදා කරන්න යන්නේ අන්න එහෙම දේශපාලන පරිවර්තනයක්. අලුත් දිශාවකට අපේ රට පරිවර්තනය කළ යුතුමයි. අපි ඔබට ආරාධනා කරන්නේ.
Our country needs to be transformed in a new direction. We invite you to join us in this transformation on the 21st of September. We can succeed. The ruling class has struggled to maintain its usual grip on power. Except for periods like 2010 to 2015, the United National Party was traditionally on the ballot, but it is nowhere to be seen in the upcoming election. The leader of the United National Party is contesting independently. What does it mean to lose the usual path of power? We have built a robust foundation. We have strong faith and hope that this transformation can be achieved on the 21st of September. Our state does not consistently uphold the rule of law. In principle, the law dictates equality for all. Is everyone truly equal before the law? If so, a person convicted of murder cannot serve as an MP. A minister cannot threaten detainees with guns on their heads. A minister cannot exhort the public and face punishment from the High Court. Ranil Wickremesinghe cannot hold the presidency if he is not truly equal before the law. If we aim to build our country, equality before the law must prevail. We assure you that neither I nor anyone in our movement is above the law. We are all accountable and equal under the law. Our country's history is marred by many mistakes and we have thoroughly studied them. Let us transform this nation by swiftly addressing areas that require change. Let us unite for this cause.
ඒ වැරදුන් තැන් ඉතා හොඳින් අධ්‍යයනය කරලා වෙනස් කර යුතු තැන් ඉතා වේගයෙන් වෙනස් කරලා මේ රට නව පරිවර්තනයකට අපි යොමු කරමු. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් අපි සියලු දෙනා එකට එකතු වෙමු.
Who is the presidential candidate of the Sarva Jana Balaya?
අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා අගෝස්තු 4.
We plan to introduce our presidential candidate during a representative assembly scheduled at the Sugatadasa Stadium on Sunday, the 4th of August. Our presentation will outline a strategic program aimed at transforming our nation into a place where 22.5 million Sinhalese, Tamil, Muslim, Malay and Burgher citizens can live happily. Our candidate selection process focuses on this strategic plan rather than individual personalities. It marks the departure from historical trends where personal adulation determined electoral outcomes.
The first meeting of the recently established Tamil National Common Framework to field a Tamil candidate for the upcoming presidential election was held in Jaffna today. On the 22nd of July, the Common Framework was established based on an agreement between 7 Tamil political parties and civil organizations. Leaders of political parties and representatives of civil organizations attended the discussions held today.
All of them are trying to discard the Tamil votes. Our goal is to unite the Tamil people. If we fail to field a common candidate, and garner the votes for him, the Tamil vote will be further discarded in the future elections. Therefore, our aim is to consolidate the Tamil vote and make the Tamil population stronger.
The government has issued guidelines detailing the conduct expected from government institutions during this critical period. The National Election Commission has underscored the importance of strict adherence to these regulations to ensure a fair and transparent electoral process. Starting next month, the Election Commission plans to engage external stakeholders involved in the presidential election. Meanwhile, the Department of Posts has presented an estimated expenditure report totaling to 1.4 billion rupees to the Election Commission for the upcoming presidential election. Postmaster General P. Satkumara said the increased costs attributed to rising postage rates since the previous election cycle. Satkumara also addressed a critical issue facing the department, a significant shortage of staff. He said that there is currently a shortage of between 1,000 to 2,000 postmen required to fulfill election-related duties effectively. To address the issue, the Postmaster General said the Department of Posts plans to seek approval from the Election Commission to employ retired postmen.
Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka decides. Sri Lanka decides. The power of the people.
Moving on, in more local news, several factions have expressed views over the issues concerning the appointment of the Inspector General of Police. The Samaki Youth Lawyers Movement convened a media briefing today, strongly asserting that the government is maneuvering to postpone elections by orchestrating a crisis between the legislature and the judiciary. The president faces a dilemma as a candidate. If he proceeds with job appointment, he fears facing election petitions challenging his decisions. However, if he refrains from such appointments, it must be for reasons other than his candidacy. One viable option could be appointing the Prime Minister as acting president to fulfill presidential duties during this period. What does the government have to say?
This is the stance of Professor J.L. Perez.
Do you think that anybody worth his salt, anyone of quality will accept appointment as a judge of the Supreme Court if they are to be abused like this in Parliament? If their judgments are going to be thrown into the waste paper basket, and the government of the day proudly proclaims the fact that they have no respect for the Supreme Court, then they go a step further and they go to schools in this country and tell school children to emulate their example in heaping abuse on the highest court in the land. Is that a message that is at all appropriate for growing children? Is this a message that we want to put into the minds of students? What kind of society are we going to have in the future? These are the citizens of the future. If the judiciary is to be humiliated in this way, vilified, denigrated in this way, then I would say that that is the most serious crisis that Sri Lanka is confronting.
Imagine waking up each morning not knowing where to find clean water. Surrounded by an ocean and blessed with rain, it's a cruel irony that clean water remains a distant dream for many. Thirst knows no gender, race or religion, and neither does Gammadda. Kuda Belankadavela is a village where the struggle for clean water is a daily reality. This is their story and how Gammadda changed everything. For generations, this community has grappled with the daily challenge for survival. Children have fallen ill due to waterborne diseases, while parents have spent countless hours fetching water from distant sources. The absence of clean water has not only affected the health of the villagers, but has also hindered their daily lives. The community's hope for a better life seemed distant, overshadowed by the daily struggle for survival. Today, Gammadda brought a lifeline to Kuda Bellan Kadavela. A water purification system, a simple yet revolutionary gift, is transforming lives. This means clean, safe drinking water for hundreds of people who have been struggling for years. Thanks to Dr. Srimani Gunathilaka, who was moved to act, this project is now a reality.
A few months ago, we got to know that many families in Kuda Bellan Kadavela do not have access to clean water. We can understand the many issues you had to face because of this situation. Since we strongly believe that clean water should be available to everyone, our intention was to purify the water here and rectify this issue. I wish you all a healthy and prosperous life.
අපි ගම්මැද්ද අරහා විශේෂයෙන්ම ගම්මැද්ද ගෙයින්ගෙට වැඩසටහන හරහා
Through Gammadda, especially the Gammadda door-to-door initiative, we continue to walk across thousands of villages. The biggest issue in many of these villages is the lack of clean water. This is a country with over 100 rivers, a country with around 30,000 reservoirs. It's time we thought about these issues with fresh eyes. This is how our ancient leaders throughout looked for solutions, by irrigating fields and also protecting the environment. At the same time, in a similar manner, the time has come now for us to think deeply about solutions that are sustainable and not temporary fixes. This is our heritage of leadership and we must go back to it. The future of our children depends on it. Our country has all the opportunities and all the resources needed for this. The world knows this, and it's time we as a nation and people push towards this as well.
අපේ රට නව මානයකට යොමු කරන නායකත්වයක් කියලා හිතන්න.
Gammadda continues to impact the lives of millions of Sri Lankans because it is by the people and for the people.
රටක් ලෙස අප හමුවේ ඇති සිහින අනාගතයට අප රැගෙන යන බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. සැපවත් නගරවල මෙන්ම දුප්පත් ගම්මානවල පොදු සිහිනය. යහපත් හෙට දවසක්. ඒ සිහිනය ජය ගන්නට එක්ව නැගිටිමු. ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජන පෞර.
The Nauru Declaration on Judicial Well-being was adopted at the Regional Judicial Conference on Integrity and Judicial Well-being. President of the Court of Appeal of Nauru, Justice Rangajiva Vimalasena, led the program.
The Nauru Declaration of Judicial Well-being, a landmark document outlining principles and commitments for promoting integrity and well-being within the judiciary, was adopted at the Regional Judicial Conference on Integrity and Judicial Well-being held in Nauru from the 24th to the 26th of this month. Invited by Justice Rangajiva Vimalasena, President of the Court of Appeal of Nauru, CMJA President Justice Lynn Leach and the CMJA Director of Programs, Judge Shamim Qureshi, were instrumental in shaping the declaration. The Nauru Declaration emphasizes the critical importance of judicial well-being, recognizing it as a fundamental aspect of judicial independence and effectiveness. It underscores the responsibility of both individual judges and judicial institutions in fostering a supportive environment for mental health and well-being. The declaration further emphasizes the need for tailored approaches to address the unique challenges faced by judiciaries in different jurisdictions. It highlights the role of human rights in enhancing judicial well-being and advocates for a combination of awareness raising, prevention and management strategies. The drafting committee comprises 18 legal professionals from across the Pacific region, Australia and other countries, including the United Kingdom, Ukraine, Canada, Portugal, the Caribbean, Jamaica, Singapore and Nigeria.
People took to the streets to express their anger over the current state of affairs and ongoing corruption within the government.
We are looking for people who are honest, we are looking for people who are transparent, and we are looking for people who would stand by their word. But so far, we do not see so many. I want to tell the people in this country, do not be deceived by what people are promising you. You know whether they will stand up for their rights. You know whether they will actually perform. And therefore, the people should look at the manifestos.
This week, we saw how the Prime Minister, using the privilege of Parliament, dismissed the Supreme Court verdict. We find these things that you all are doing, hiding under privilege of Parliament, shameful. Ranil Wickremesinghe, almost 5 years ago, when he was ousted during the Constitutional Council, was reinstated because of the Supreme Court verdict. Today, they are not accepting that Supreme Court verdict. If the highest citizen of the land has no respect for the law and order, what is the point?
Chief of the Presidential Staff, Sakala Ratnayaka, said that a proposal will be presented to Cabinet tomorrow to integrate Sri Lanka's power grid with India.
The President constantly emphasizes the need to advance to the next stage, transitioning towards a new economy. He has developed comprehensive programs to achieve this goal. Our aim is to meet our country's renewable energy requirements, reduce electricity costs and minimize waste disposal expenses. We will seek Cabinet approval tomorrow to establish connectivity between our power grid and India, facilitating the export of power surplus. This initiative promises additional revenue streams for our nation. Negotiations are also underway with India to construct a bridge that will significantly enhance trade flow from South India through our ports.
The 8th China-South Asia Expo is underway in Kunming, the provincial capital of southwest China's Yunnan province. Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardena, speaking to China's CGTN on the sidelines of the expo, emphasized the potential for expanded cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative.
How will China and Sri Lanka further cooperate under the Belt and Road Initiative, especially in terms of advancing some flagship projects, including the Colombo Port City and Hambantota Port?
You know, Belt and Road Initiative is not a new thing for Sri Lanka. 1,000 years ago, there had been Chinese businessmen who have been doing a lot of business in my country. So now with this new approach with Belt and Road, there is an ample enough opportunity, and it can expand unprecedentedly in our country, because now Port City is totally a Chinese investment, and Sri Lanka has recognized that, and we in Parliament we have passed a legislation to give security for the investors. It's a special law that is investor beneficial and investor friendly, and their investments are untouched. There are so many items under free trade agreement we could supply, but we don't have the capacity to supply that to those countries under the free trade agreement. So if Chinese can come and invest in that, there's a huge market that could be open in the neighboring countries.
Defence Secretary retired General Kamal Gunaratne engaged in discussions with the Prime Minister of Myanmar to hold talks on the Sri Lankans who were trapped in cybercrime camps.
Defence Secretary retired General Kamal Gunaratne engaged in discussions with the Prime Minister of Myanmar concerning the plight of Sri Lankans forcibly detained in cybercrime camps within Myanmar. General Gunaratne's visit coincided with his attendance at the 4th BIMSTEC National Security Summit in Myanmar. During the meeting, the Defence Secretary appealed to the Myanmar Prime Minister for assistance in rescuing Sri Lankan nationals currently held in these cybercrime facilities. In response, the Ministry of Defence disclosed that the Myanmar Prime Minister assured the Defence Secretary of his government's commitment to prioritise resolving this humanitarian issue.
HelpAge Sri Lanka announced a significant milestone with the completion of 50,000 free cataract surgeries at the HelpAge Eye Hospital this month.
In its mission to provide essential eye care to the disadvantaged elderly, HelpAge Sri Lanka announced completion of 50,000 free cataract surgeries at the HelpAge Eye Hospital this month.
Sri Lanka has one of the fastest aging populations in the world. It's important that we look after the patient's needs, especially of the elderly segment. Historically, Sri Lankan healthcare sector had looked after its mothers and children very well. But since of late, we have to concentrate more on the elderly population of ours. Sri Lanka records some of the highest rates in relation to diabetes and hypertension in the Southeast Asian region. Given the backdrop of the financial calamity that country encounters, certain times our budgets are also restricted. Nevertheless, I might highlight the fact that despite all the difficulties successive governments of the country had over a period of time, it had never failed to allocate sufficient sum of money for its health and education, universal free health care and free education.
With a capacity to perform up to 20 free cataract surgeries per day, the HelpAge Eye Hospital stands as Colombo's only charitable facility offering such essential services.
In some news from overseas now, an enormous wildfire has grown by 8 square miles an hour, that's 20 square kilometers an hour, as it spreads across parts of Northern California.
The park fire, which started on Wednesday in a suspected arson attack, had burned more than 348,000 acres of land northeast of Chico and was 0% contained. About 2,500 firefighters are battling the blaze, which has been fueled by steppe terrain and wind gusts. A 42-year-old man was arrested on Thursday on suspicion of starting the fire by rolling a burning car into a gully. It is now the largest fire in the state this year and has consumed an area more than 1.5 times the size of New York City's 5 boroughs. CAL Fire Incident Commander Billy C. said the fire has been spreading at a rate of 5,000 acres an hour.
Tensions between Israel and Lebanon escalated dramatically over the weekend following a deadly rocket attack on an Israeli town that killed 12 children.
Israel's Air Force says it has hit Hezbollah targets in Lebanon after 12 children and young adults were killed in a rocket attack while playing football in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Israel has blamed the Lebanese militant group for Saturday's attack on the Druze town of Majd al-Shams, but Hezbollah has strongly denied any involvement. Early today, the IDF said it had conducted airstrikes against 7 Hezbollah targets deep inside Lebanese territory. It is unclear whether there were any casualties. The rising tensions have the potential to trigger an all-out war between Israel and Hezbollah, whose forces have regularly exchanged fire since the outbreak of the Israel-Gaza war in October. Yesterday's attack at the town's football pitch was the deadliest loss of life on Israel's northern border since the war began on the 7th of October. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had immediately vowed to retaliate against Hezbollah, saying the group would pay a heavy price. Hours later, the Israeli Air Force said it had struck terror targets including weapons caches and terrorist infrastructure overnight. Hezbollah spokesperson Mohammed Afif denied responsibility for the attack. Israeli authorities said all of those killed were between the ages of 10 and 20, although Israeli media reported that some were younger.
The second T20 International of India's tour of Sri Lanka is currently underway at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium. India won the toss and chose to field first. Batting first, Sri Lanka posted 161 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in their allotted 20 overs. India are currently 6 runs for no loss at 0.3 overs. The match is currently being delayed due to rain. Moving on in more sports news, Sri Lanka made its Olympic debut today at the 2024 Paris Games. Sri Lanka's young badminton sensation Viren Netthasinghe participated in his opening group stage encounter at the Paris Olympic badminton competition today. Competing from Group G in the preliminary singles round, Netthasinghe took on Malaysian opponent world number 7 Lee Ziljiar. Unfortunately, he lost to Lee by a score of 0-2. And that's a wrap of primetime news on TV1 for tonight. Do stay tuned to Newsfirst for more of the very latest. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Charlotte Benedict. Take care and God bless.